Hello, my name's Melissa Simon-Hartman and I am an artist, fashion and costume designer.
You know that I need you, can't live, you sativa. Girl, you got me flying with no visa. Ooh, sativa. Mi amor, número uno diva.
I studied general art and design at Barnet College, and my further education was a degree in theatrical costume and interpretation at the London College of Fashion, which is also known as the University of the Arts London. I would say my biggest achievement is having my designs featured in Beyonce's Disney production Black is King. And last year, was it last year? I believe it was last year, yes. And last year as well, I had my costumes featured in the official Samsung UK ad for NHC at Home, so that was great as well. Well, the first carnival that I actually attended was at the age of 2, and that was in Trinidad. And by the time I actually got into carnival myself, I was 7, and that was a year after my father had passed away. So it was actually a friend of my mother who invited us to a local mass camp, and instantly we just loved the vibe. You know, we felt like we were part of a family. It was amazing. And what I used to do is I used to follow the lead designer around the camp, because I already had a love for art from a very young age. So I'd follow her around the camp and try and assist and help out wherever I could. And she kind of gave me the job of being the glitter sprinkler. So I took sprinkling glitter onto costumes very seriously. And the first year of actually joining the camp, so that's when I was 7, I actually played individual and I led a section of costumes. So yeah, it was quite an impactful first year and experience in carnival. I started making costumes, I would say, I know over time my responsibilities in the mass camp grew, from assisting to making my own little designs that I would, create my own designs to wear on the road. In all honesty, I cannot remember the exact age I designed my first carnival costumes, but what I do remember is that I designed 2 junior individual costumes, and I know I wasn't a teenager yet, so I was still relatively young. In the carnival costume world, my inspirations are Peter Minshall, Brian McFarlane, and also Wayne Barclay. And in the UK, we are blessed to have the best wire artist ever named Carl Gabriel. So he's definitely an inspiration of mine. And in the fashion world, I quite like the avant-garde and I love texture. So Alexander McQueen, Iris van Herpen, Robert Woon and Go Pei. I would say I do not officially have a mentor, and I am actually still actively looking for a mentor, especially in business management, because I'm very much a creative and I'm learning more about the business as time goes on. But I have found unofficial mentors on Instagram that I follow. So there's great accounts there that provide a lot of advice and provide motivational tips as well. So at the moment, my mentors are unofficial virtual mentors. So yes, that's my answer to that question. So to give you an explanation or briefing on different types of costumes that you would find at Carnival. So you have the King and Queen costumes. So the King and Queen costumes, they're the grandest costumes that you'll see in a Carnival band, and they lead the band, and they're, very huge, elaborate, and sometimes they're not even roadworthy. So I have seen quite a few in the past Kings and Queen costumes that because they're so huge and so grand, they need to have wheels in order to maneuver them, But that's not what it's about. It's not about being practical. It's about having an impact. So unfortunately, I would say with King and Queen costumes that there has been a decline of them at Notting Hill Carnival, and that is since the competition aspect has stopped, which is quite a few years ago now. So that's one of the reasons. It's also not feasible for many bands to invest in making huge costumes, financially. So that's quite sad. So there is a decline. You don't see as many king and queen costumes, but there are some of the traditional bands on the road at Notting Hill that you will see king and queen costumes in. So, you know, not all is lost. And with Frontline costumes, so those are the show-off costumes now. Okay, Frontline. So they usually have backpacks. So they will have, you know, pieces extended from the back, which make it, you know, very elaborate. They would usually have large headdresses, or even if not the large headdresses, they'll definitely have a backpack. And they're always positioned at the front of the band, you know, so, and they tend to get added perks. So if you find a Frontline costume in what we call an all-inclusive band, so all-inclusives is where you get the package of food, drink, security, you know, and so on. The Frontline costumes, because they are the most expensive section costumes, you will tend to get more perks of wearing them. I call them the IG ready costumes, because people who tend to wear Frontline costumes usually want to have IG ready pics. You know, they are very, very pretty, nice costumes. So that's Frontline. And now with Backline costumes, also beautiful, but they're less elaborate. So they are often connected to the Frontline costumes in some way, you know, either by using the same colors or by using the same fabric. They do not tend to have backpacks, and they are more budget friendly. And the name is all in the name. So Frontline tends to be at the front and the Backline tends to be at the back, you know. But one thing I'll tell you, Backline players, they do have a great time because they're not restricted by the huge elaborate backpacks. Individuals, so they are usually one-off designs and they lead a section. So they'll be in front of the actual front lines as well. And they're very elaborate. They're more elaborate than the section mask. They usually have a larger backpack or headdress. And they are significantly more expensive as well because they are one-off. So if you're wearing an individual costume, you can, you know, rest assured that nobody else is going to be looking like you in the band. Okay, so to discuss costume themes. So themes are really crucial in a band presentation. You know, the theme tells a story and it sets the scene of the costume concepts. And for me, researching a theme is the most important aspect of Carnival costume creation. You know, it's paramount to ensure that the costume represents the theme that is advertised. So I would advise everyone to take time to research whatever subject your costume is depicting so it looks authentic on the road. Pretty mask, fantasy mask, which is also known as the beads, bikinis and feathers mask, has taken dominance over the traditional mask. I believe Trinidad has been influenced by Brazil, and the rest of the world, the rest of the Carnival world has been influenced by Trinidad. And it is understandable because when you take the hot climate of those countries into consideration, it makes sense that, you know, less is more. You know, feathers are light, they're beautiful, they have impact, but they're not heavy. You know, bikinis, obviously, if you're in a hot country, you're going to want to wear a bikini, or if you're a guy, you're going to want to wear shorts. So, you know, they serve their purpose and they are very beautiful and stunning on the road. However, I have noticed that the first Carnival presentation for this year, which has been in Trinidad, although it's not been on the road due to the pandemic, it's all been digitally streamed. I did notice that there was, you know, a display of innovative approaches, alternatives to using feathers. So this might be the start of something. It might be the start of returning to, you know, the more traditional aesthetic or using traditional techniques. Over the course of time, you know, if that happens, I know other countries are going to follow suit as well. Hey, without costumes, there is no Carnival, you know. Costumes are the foundation of Carnival. So if you remove costumes from Carnival, you're removing its rich history, you're removing its purpose. You know, you're basically looking at a festival. You're not looking at Carnival without costumes. And you've got to think as well about the tourism that Carnival brings in. You've got to think about the spectators that attend. They're attending to see beauty and splendor on the road. You know, it's a visual experience, Carnival. So costumes play a massive part, key part. There's nothing like it. There really isn't, you know. Attending Carnival will never be the same once you have worn a costume and once you've played mass on the road in a costume. You know, I have attended Carnival as a spectator and as a player, so I know what I'm talking about. I know the difference. I know the difference to that feeling. And not only is being in a band, you know, wearing a costume very safe, you know, the safest way to play mass, to be at Carnival, because you've got the advantage of the band security as well. And you're just basically going on the same route as everyone else. You're not, you know, going off to any sort of corners or anything like that you're unaware or unfamiliar of. So it really is, for anyone who's worried about safety, play in a band, you know, that's my recommendation. You're cool, you're good, you know. But there's also the huge benefit of making friends on the road. You're going to make new friends. You really are, and you're going to have a ball, you know. You feel special as well. That's another thing, is that feeling you get when you wear a costume. You feel special. Prepare yourself to be stopped by spectators every moment for photos. You know, it makes you feel great. Sometimes it could be tiring, I'm not going to lie, but it does make you feel special. It does make you feel great, you know. And wearing a costume is akin to just letting an alter ego take over for the day. You're not yourself anymore. You've become whatever you're portraying. And that is an indescribable feeling. You know, it is a form of therapy. We need to escape. And wearing a costume is a form of escapism. So I highly recommend it. If you haven't done it before, please do it. Please, you won't regret it, I assure you. If you can, visit a mass camp. There's not many of them now, unfortunately. There's also been a decline in mass camps. But if you can, visit a physical mass camp, do it. You know, you're going to love it. You're going to feel welcome. You may even want to get involved in the carnival making process. You do not have to be a designer. You do not have to be, you know, a professional creative or have experience. You would learn. You know, there's so many people within a mass camp environment who are willing to mentor you and help you. So if you can get into a physical mass camp, I would definitely recommend that. If you can't, I would say register online. Any social media platforms that band has, follow it, become a member of it, you know. Social media has become a very powerful tool now for engaging people into Carnival and in the Carnival arts. So I would say that, because even if you can't feel like part of a physical community leading up to Carnival, you can at least feel like part of a digital community. So that would be my advice. Sketch, experiment, and research. Sketch, experiment, you know. Those are the three key things I would say to start off with. Do not aim for perfection, otherwise you will be disappointed, gravely disappointed. You know, the whole beauty in any design process, whether you're doing it for Carnival, if you're doing it for theatre, if you're doing it for film, you know, whatever it is, fashion, the whole beauty in it lies in the imperfections, because you learn from your mistakes, you know. So never treat any mistakes as failure. Look at it as a learning process. And the more you learn, the greater you're going to become. So that's my advice. You know, that's a great starting point. I would say find your reason for doing this. Find your passion. Make sure you are passionate. And there's reasons why you need to make sure you have a passion for this, you know, because making money or making a fast buck should not be that reason. You've got to be passionate about wanting to get involved in Carnival. You've got to be passionate about the culture. You've got to be passionate about creating costumes for Carnival. Because if you are in it solely for the money, you are not going to last long in this industry. It's not a get-rich industry. It really isn't. You know, you might be lucky and make huge tons of money, that's great, but that is not usually the reason why people are involved in this. You know, being a Carnival costume designer is not easy by any means. You know, many people, they have to juggle their 9-to-5s of making Carnival costumes after work or at the weekends. They're tired. You know, being a Carnival costume designer, it's it's very different from being a designer of a mainstream fashion label or retailer, where you're never likely to come into contact with the clients who are buying your costumes. However, as a mass designer, you would often play mass in the band that you've designed costumes for. So if your clients are dissatisfied with their costumes, you're gonna know because you'll be there. You'll be in close proximity of people who are not happy with your costumes. So you've got to be passionate, you know, in order to deliver the best service possible to your players. Because if your heart is in it, I promise you, you will build a client base of loyal clients within no time. So yes, be prepared for the stress, but if you're passionate, it's going to be a labor of love. Certain aspects, different aspects. So as a player, I would say the unity on the road, you know, seeing people who are most probably going to walk past each other, straight past each other on the streets, even including the police force. You know, you're not going to stop and have conversations with the police every day. And, you know, there's players from all over the world. You know, you're not going to just stop and speak to a random person on the streets. However, at Carnival, there's a sense of unity. People just have a great time with strangers, and it's a wonderful feeling. You forget about your inhibitions. There's just so much freedom in Carnival, and I feel like that is my favorite part. But as a designer, I would definitely say the highlight is seeing my costumes on clients that feel amazing. They are happy, they're satisfied, because for me as a designer, the client satisfaction is my satisfaction.